So prior to this, year-long sabbatical, I'd spent the past 6, 7 years in software sales in various roles from individual contributor up to managing positions to director positions, ultimately a VP of enterprise sales before departing to take this year off and then eventually start laying the groundwork for pursuing my own endeavors. Nothing but gratitude for my time in corporate America. I not only had amazing leaders, I had a tremendous opportunity for earnings. I had a career growth, and for the better part of my 6 years, I had nothing but great things to say about the company that I worked for and the people that I worked with. I mean, and I recognize what a privilege that is. I mean, ultimately, the career and the things that I did over the past couple of years has given me the opportunity now to create this time and space for this time off, this travel, to partake in these endeavors. But at the end of the day, I mean, I was burnt out. There was a point at which I really didn't want to check another email, struggled to take another call with either employees or customers. And I think there was some aspect of it that was just the nature of the role. There was a lot of travel in my position, a lot of calls, and not necessarily any of it being extremely difficult. It is time consuming. It occupies a ton of space in the mind. And so I had a very complicit hand in kind of compounding the burnout indicators with kind of things I was doing in my personal life. I was also traveling a bunch in my personal life. I was probably partaking in more things that were pleasure-oriented and partying and things that were done in excess with drinking and things of that nature. And when you pair kind of the social jet lag, social burnout with the work burnout and high-tempo travel, you can see how that can begin to kind of quickly snowball into a situation that isn't great. And so, I found myself a year and a half ago or so just completely exhausted and not really enjoying the work that I did. I think the allure of money and title was intriguing, and it kept me on the hamster wheel for quite some time. But I think at a certain point, I had just felt like I had really become distant in my relationship with God. It's something that I've really prioritized since I was a kid. I also wasn't taking care of my health in the way that I normally had. I had always had fairly disciplined regimens around how I ate and trained related to athletics and then also in the military. And quite often the gym time was the first thing to go when there was this call that came up or this email that had to be checked or this task to be knocked out. And I quickly began to put my spiritual, physical, and mental health on the back burner to, in the efforts to be more successful from a corporate standpoint. And that's obviously not corporate America's fault. Corporate America provides a ton of safety and financial security to millions and millions of people that has such a positive impact on our society. But I think in my particular case, and I think if you look at some of the studies around people's levels of engagement in work and some issues, the mental health crisis, there's clearly some level of false sense of value or worthiness that we attach to work. And so really what I'm trying to do is unwind that and then just reconsider what it is that I want to value and prioritize in my life. And so for me, that starts with my spiritual health. It also looks like demonstrated commitment to learning and growth, commitment and discipline towards health and fitness and how I treat my body, the things that I put in my body. And it also looks like reestablishing and strengthening the relationships with friends and family. And certainly work is an important component of happiness in society. We need to gain money in order to survive. These are, basic elements of our society. And so what I'm doing as I look towards my next step in a work journey is trying to really examine and look at what are the skill sets that I have that can be useful? what are things that actually interest me? Where is there an intersection of what society could potentially use or benefit from and might have some opportunity to monetize, but with that kind of being on the back burner of things, right? And so for me, Tenable Vibrations is my attempt at stepping into the Japanese phrase concept of ikigai. It's basically finding the intersection of all those points and using that as a framework to determine and move towards some level of purposeful work in one's life. And so, on the skill set side of things, I have pretty extensive background in health related things, in team building. And it's certainly a big component of what I'm going to be doing with Tenable Vibrations is creating retreats around helping people connect with purpose, strengthening community, incorporating physical fitness modalities such as yoga, breath work, cold plunging. And then obviously all those things really interest me personally. I've enjoyed doing them for many years as part of my health protocols and routines. And then feeling like the podcast, the content we're putting out, and the very essence of what the retreats will be offering people that participate, and even just the breathwork events, I think all of these things will have a positive net impact on society, will help people live more healthier, balanced lives, help people consider their own purpose, values, and the things that they do in life. And also hopefully share through the lens of the guests that we bring on tips and tools that people could integrate into helping them cultivate stronger relationships, or maybe take the action on a business idea that they've put on the back burner to incorporate into doing new things, into traveling. All these things are elements that I think will kind of get me closer to that center of finding my ikigai of the skill set, the interest, the things that have a positive societal impact. And I think it's at a time in society, given the level of social isolation that we have, given the level of burnout in corporate America, I think given, increase and rise in social media, social comparison of people feeling like they don't have enough or they're not enough, and slowly leveraging or relying upon, financial attainment, status, and title as being the sources that fulfill their happiness. I think there is a huge need for a channel like this, for more information to be published and broadcasted that aim at helping people live happier, more healthy, and complete lives. And so that's what we'll be aiming to do. Hope you subscribe, follow along, and enjoy the journey.